Okay, so I've got Steve Pitt with me, the manager of Braintree.
Indeed.
Well played today.
Thank you.
Great result for you guys.
Yeah.
What do you want to tell me about the game? What changed it for you? What was the mindset?
We got a monkey off our back last Saturday because we hadn't won in 8.
Yeah.
We beat Truro at home, and obviously probably more significant in the sense they were in and around us in the table. Yeah. Our problem has been we've been building and developing and bedding down. We've had lots and lots of injury problems. I only had 14 fit players last Saturday, but I had a full complement of players today, apart from a couple of suspensions. So obviously today we had strength in depth, but we came here with a really positive mindset, as you hopefully saw. We believe we could get something out of the game, even though you boys have been flying and you've had a great sort of renaissance in terms of coming back into the division and what have you. But we believe in what we're doing and how we do it. We try and play, we try and get the ball down and play, as you obviously saw. We play through the lines and we try and build. There's a time and a place, and obviously I'd made a decision, given the pattern of the first half and the fact that my front boys had stretched the game but we hadn't scored, and obviously the penalty miss was a disappointment. In reality you've got to score penalties. I thought the penalty was a definite penalty as well. No question.
I'm going to say the pace that those lads had up front. As soon as they get in the box and they'll stick the leg out.
Well, that's our game plan really. We set up to stretch teams. And then we roll on the big guns. And we did it after 70 minutes last week.
Right.
When the game was 0-0 and we ended up winning 2-0.
Was that bringing 4 on again?
3.
Oh, you bought 3 on last week.
Yeah, I only had 3 subs, unfortunately, last week. But we did the same thing again last week, but we left it until 70 minutes. Today, we'd made a conscious decision at half-time that if we didn't get back in the game within an hour, we would change it. But we'd go for broke. We'd go with the front 4 as opposed to the front 3 as we did last Saturday. And obviously, it gives us a different dynamic. The game is already stretched, and the quality of Emmanuel-Thomas and John Akinde makes a massive difference. And I thought, in actual fact, we could have won it. To be fair, at the death.
I would say at the end there, you seemed to keep it in the corner. I thought, were you disappointed to keep it in the corner? Obviously, getting a point, but could you, if you'd carried on going for it, I think you could have nicked it for me.
I think the thing is that you're quite right, and I don't disagree with you. But the reality is, in the situation that we found ourselves in, to get ourselves back in the game, and I thought we thoroughly deserved to get back in the game.
Second half, definitely.
Definitely. I thought it's one of those where we tend to there are moments in games, and it is only moments where we let ourselves down. The corner. Although it was really well worked, and I thought Scunthorpe were excellent from set pieces today and a real threat. But the corner, we let ourselves down in the sense of we didn't defend the front post, and we conceded as a result of that. And our Achilles heel is that we have a lot of possession. We get in some really good areas, but unfortunately we don't score enough goals. And also we do tend to get a little bit gung-ho in terms of when we counter-attack on teams, but when it breaks down, we allow teams to counter-attack on us. So I think you're sort of stuck between two stools, and unfortunately we're not out the relegation zone tonight, which I think our performance deserved. So I've got to say that on the balance, if it breaks down, do I want to get done on the counter, or do I want to keep it in the corner and go, do you know what, just maybe we'll settle for what we've got. So it's kind of I think if we were top of the table or in that playoff area and really pushing, it's a kind of different dynamic.
It is.
But definitely. I think in the position we find ourselves in, and I don't believe, and obviously I'm biased, but I try to be objective in the way I approach things and the way I talk about my team. We're not a bottom of the table team.
No.
Not in any way, shape or form. We just don't score enough goals.
Final third.
Absolutely. We create, not today, because today was very nip and tuck, I thought, for both sides, but generally if you watch us, we create a plethora of chances every week, but we don't score.
I've seen some of your fans beforehand, and they were saying that you get good strikers. You had one last season. Was it Peterborough signed him?
I sold Cairo Lisby in the summer for just under 6 figures. He got
Yeah.
17 goals for us last season, and not only that, but he had pace where he just went past people as if they
Yeah.
weren't there.
Yeah.
And obviously he's in the team out at Peterborough and he's scoring goals, so that tells you everything you need to know about the season he had last season.
So he's going to be a big miss player like that as well, isn't he?
Yeah, massive.
You know what I mean, massive.
Massive.
And trying to replace him with someone else that's similar.
Yeah, I mean, we also had, you know, we had 3 key dynamics last season that I found difficult to replace, and that's the nature of the beast. Kyrell being one of them, and that's been borne out by the success he's having in League One now. Jermaine Francis was another one. Tried to sign him during the summer from Barnet because we'd had him on loan last season. Couldn't afford the wages, couldn't afford the fee that he eventually went for. So he's been another big miss. And also Matt Robinson, our central midfielder that we had on loan from Woking last season. Had a little bit of everything, but had a desire and a will to win as well, which I think is really, really important to drive, because we're a very young side.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah,
I think we're either the youngest side in the division or the second youngest. It changes when I bring on the boys that I brought on towards the end of the game, but you know, there's a method to that madness. But it's difficult to replace those kind of players, and you know, our form from when I came in last season was we'd have finished 1 point outside the playoffs. But losing those kind of players, I've not really replaced them up until now. But I think we're getting there now. I think we've got a good balance and a good dynamic in terms of, you know, what you saw in terms of those guys. You know, some of your fans were talking to me afterwards going, why didn't the big boys start? Well, the reality is they haven't got 90 minutes in them.
Last 90 minutes, are they?
But they do change the dynamic of a game when it gets stretched.
Of course they do.
But yeah, I thought it was a good game. I thought it was an enjoyable game. I know you've not come away with what you wanted, but having said that, if you try to be objective, I think it was probably a fair result.
Yeah, I think it was. I think, you know, first half, I think it was Scunthorpe, you know, had the better chances, and
although I'm
got
disappointed
the goal.
with the penalty, but
and then the second half, I think though, a lot of fans I spoke to, you could see it was coming. That goal, you could see it was coming, just the way that Braintree attacked and just kept going forward and forward.
And I think the nice thing is you come to a place like this, which is a big football club in my opinion, you know, both historically and even now, big crowd and what have you, but people treat you with the utmost respect. And it's been really, really good. To be fair to you guys, the amount of people that come up to me after the game, and you approached me obviously as I was going down the tunnel, and have been so positive and so complimentary. There's not negatives, you know, and there doesn't need to be negatives, does there?
No, not at all.
At the end of the day, we've all got the same objective, which is to win games of football. But I try and be quite reflective. You know, if you'd been better than us today, I'd have told you were better than us. But I don't think you were, and that's the reality of it. And you know, as I say, probably a little bit wee bit disappointed at the death that we didn't win it, but. As I say, like you were saying, we got stuck between two stools at the end there, and I think when you're in the situation that we're in, I genuinely thought if we got a positive result today, we'd be out of the relegation zone, but apparently we're not.
Right.
But there you go. That's life, isn't it?
Have you got anything to say for the travelling fans?
Absolutely magnificent. I mean, you know, we're you know, we crave to be in an environment like this with the fan base that you've got and the setup that you've got and what have you. We're you know, and it's not a question of me detracting from anything, but we're a very small football club at the level.
Lots of clubs round about you as well, isn't there? Just right in the vicinity, not far from London.
Yeah, absolutely. And we haven't got the biggest budget in the division, so I have to recruit. I do all the recruitment myself, but I have to recruit very, very wisely, and I have to be very sensible about that. But we crave this environment, and we crave this sort of fan base and this setup and what have you. But yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's only 57 fans or whatever it may be, but they make a lot of noise.
Yeah, of course they do. They'll go home happy as well.
For better or for worse, you know, when we perform like we did today, you see the response.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's all you can ask for. Exactly. I try and be honest with people. I try and be honest with them, for better or for worse. But I've been here for a year now, and it's been a really good journey. A really good journey.
Yeah. Right, well, thank you for your time, mate.
Not a
I'll
problem.
let you get back to your team, and
my pleasure.
Safe travels back.
Nice to meet you guys.